I had a friend, and I've also had many students ask me if the mainstream media has lost its way and is really totally unreliable, which is true, then where do you go for news? It's a great question. And let's take a few minutes to study and look at sites that are options that are superior in every way to the mainstream media. As you see, RT is one of the sites you can use. I actually have this up just to show you the RT site has multiple videos from many folks explaining why the mainstream media is pretty much useless and worthless. They'll have people on, everyone from Richard Grove at tragedyandhope.com to random bloggers to mainstream media people who have left, such as Russ Baker, and they completely put the mainstream media in its place. They talk about how dumb the news is, they talk about how corporate it is, and their motivation is not to present unbiased, unfiltered news, but to get the public opinion going in the direction that they wish. So RT is a good place for this. Noam Chomsky is on there talking about the media. He has a good grasp of what the media has descended and devolved into. He had a spot on there as well. So RT videos are a good general place. Specifically, here are a few sites that you can use to get current news and commentary. First up is Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is wonderful for many reasons. One is the anonymity of the posters. Every single poster is called Tyler Durden from Fight Club. So they have posts throughout the day, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 12 per day, sometimes more. And they're useful because they have economics and finance news, but it's readable. So economic collapses, the Cyprus debacle where they took people's by force deposits from their bank, those things are talked about. What the Federal Reserve is doing, the value of gold, the moving of the stock market, high frequency trading. This is a place to go if you need to learn about finance and economics in the modern world. What is going on the ground? What are governments doing? The comments are rich in information. It's an extremely well-traveled site. Some of the posts get as many as 100,000 hits and 5 or 6 or 700 comments depending. They also talk about mainstream news events. It's not all economics and finance. So when something big happens, Zero Hedge will have it. And it's one of the first places I go to see what their take on it is. It's rabidly politically incorrect, as you can see, and so that gives it a little bit of an edge. Site number 2, LewRockwell.com. It is the best read libertarian website in the world. The libertarian philosophy is no initiation of force. Lew Rockwell, in the articles he posts by varying authors, here you have Andrew Napolitano, the Judge, Gary North, Russ Baker, who broke away from the mainstream media and wrote a fantastic book called Family of Secrets, Paul Craig Roberts. These articles will give you a valuable and conscious and intelligent take on the news of the day. It's a mix of news and commentary. The LRC blog is updated periodically. The podcasts have interesting guests. I listen to them in the car because they're much more interesting than what's on the radio. The diversity of the authors is noteworthy. Everyone from Pat Buchanan to Tom Sowell to Joseph Mercola. There's always a health article every day at the bottom. It's also anti-war and anti-establishment. So by definition, it won't give you the establishment version of the news. It will give you the libertarian version. Lew Rockwell is an anti-war site, but the best anti-war site is antiwar.com, run by Justin Raimondo, who is a longtime veteran of the libertarian movement, and all of the war drums that get beaten on, let's go into Syria, what's Coney doing, the Coney hoax from a year plus ago, the truth about what's still going on in Iraq and Afghanistan. If you want the real news on that, antiwar.com is the best source for that. The political parties like war, and they don't actually preach anti-war. They pretend to be so, but then they vote for, as we see in the U.S. Congress and the executive branch, they vote for war every chance they get. The true story of these things, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, the Middle East, North Africa, this place is the central location for what's actually going on. It is information rich. There's almost too much every day, but it is priceless and quite bold in their anti-war stance. For commentary, Takis Magazine is a place for commentary. Cocktails, Countesses, and Mental Caviar, the guy who runs the site. Taki, who you see here, he writes as well. He used to write for conservative magazines, and now he does his own thing and doesn't care what anyone thinks. And that is a nice place to be because it is politically incorrect, but it is a lot of fun. And the comments are useful as well. Not as good as Zero Hedge, but the comments are readable, and intelligent, thoughtful people post comments, which makes it all that much more entertaining. Jim Goad is one of my favorite authors here. He's rabidly politically incorrect, which is a relief because everyone who posts in mainstream media can't ever say anything that might offend a person, so they wind up saying nothing. Takis Magazine is a place to visit. For sports, Grantland, I think, is the best site going. They have intelligent commentary. It's thoughtful. The articles are long. This is not cliched, back against the wall, one game at a time type stuff. This is going to be articles that are thought out. It also has a lot of pop culture, which I ignore, but the sports and the interviews, the podcasts, they even have football picks just like regular sites. They're well done, and these people follow sports. They're also non-mainstream in the sense that they have a sabermetrics bent. The recent Bill James, Boston Red Sox, Moneyball switch, especially in baseball, although these people are into it when it comes to basketball and football as well, but they're ahead of the curve on that. They don't judge pitchers by wins because that's a stat that can be manipulated to some degree by what goes on by other factors and not the pitcher's performance. And they use win shares and value over replacement player and other sabermetric stats that the mainstream commentators, particularly in AM sports radio, ignore. There was a guy on The Fan the other day who said, I don't believe any of that stuff. Meanwhile, all Moneyball and sabermetrics has done has turned teams like the Tampa Bay Rays and the Red Sox and the Oakland A's into powerhouses. So Grantland looks at the evidence and truth and fact, unlike establishment, useless, nonsense sites. So this is a place to look at. Unfortunately, they don't have comments on the articles. I'd like to see that. But they do have a YouTube channel, and that is called the Grantland Channel, and that is worth a look. I hope this was helpful. Happy reading.